The diplomatic vessel Concordia drifted silently in the neutral zone between Vega and Arcturus space. Inside its polished halls, representatives from 17 galactic species argued in circles. The Galactic Council meeting had stretched into its fourth day with no resolution in sight. Ambassador Tom Reed of Earth rubbed his temples as the Vegan representative, a tall blue-skinned being named Lun, continued the same speech he'd been giving for hours. The Arcturus Collective's actions in the Orion sector constitute a clear violation of the Treaty of Betelgeuse, Lun declared, his translucent fingers gesturing dramatically. We demand immediate sanctions. The Arcturus representative, Kosh, a squat reptilian with scales that shifted color with her emotions, currently pulsed an angry orange. The Vega Federation entered our sovereign territory first. We merely defended our borders, as is our right. Tom sighed. Both sides were being stubborn about a relatively minor border dispute. Meanwhile, on a small moon called Terrace in the disputed region, a mining colony of mixed species faced imminent disaster. A series of geological disturbances threatened to destroy their habitats, but neither the Vegans nor the Arcturians would authorize a rescue mission, while the territorial dispute remained unresolved. Point of order, Tom said, standing up. The room fell silent. Humans were relatively new to the Galactic Council, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 80 years ago. Their participation in these meetings was still something of a novelty. While we debate political boundaries, real people are dying on Terrace. The colony needs evacuation within the next 36 hours before the moon's crust completely destabilizes. The Vegan representative's antennae twitched dismissively. We sympathize with the colonists, but we cannot risk our ships being fired upon by Arcturus forces if we enter the disputed zone. Kosh nodded in rare agreement with her counterpart. Similarly, we cannot risk Vegan aggression against our humanitarian vessels. Tom looked around the room at the assembled representatives. The Pleiadians, known for their wisdom, remained silent. The Centauri, famous for their medical skills, studied their data pads. The Sirians, whose engineering capabilities were unmatched, avoided eye contact. So no one is willing to help? Tom asked incredulously. The Pleiadian representative, Val, spoke softly. It is unfortunate, but the political complexities must be resolved first. Protocol demands. Protocol? Tom interrupted, his voice rising. There are 5,000 colonists on that moon, workers and families from a dozen different worlds, including Earth. Humans are always so emotional, murmured a representative from Tau Ceti. Always acting on feeling rather than logic. Perhaps, Tom replied. But sometimes emotion drives us to do what's right when logic gives us excuses to do nothing. He tapped his comm unit. Captain Baker, this is Ambassador Reed, implement contingency Delta. The council chamber erupted in protests. What is contingency Delta? Demanded Lun. Tom faced the assembly. While we've been talking 3 Earth evacuation, ships have been positioned near Terrace. They're moving in now to evacuate the colony. This is outrageous. Kosh slammed her clawed hand on the table. You have no authority. We're not claiming any, Tom replied calmly. We're simply helping people who need it. Shoot at us if you must, but it will be civilian rescue ships you're firing upon. The room fell silent again. Humans, the Syrian delegate muttered, always breaking protocol. Hours later, Tom stood in the observation deck watching the feeds from Terrace. The evacuation was proceeding smoothly. Captain Lisa Baker, a veteran of Earth Space Force, had organized the operation with military precision. Colonists boarded the vessels in orderly groups, carrying what few possessions they could. Ambassador, a voice called from behind him. Tom turned to find Val, the Pleiadian, watching the screens with interest. Your species continues to surprise us, Val said. You acted without consensus. We acted because it was necessary, Tom replied. Sometimes you can't wait for everyone to agree. The council is in an uproar. Both the Vegans and Arcturians have filed formal protests. Tom shrugged. They can add it to our file of offenses. How did humans put it? Being impulsive and dangerously unpredictable. Val's expression, a subtle shift of the light patterns across his face, indicated something like amusement. Yes, that is in your species assessment, along with prone to emotional outbursts and lacks proper respect for established protocols. And yet here we are, saving lives while everyone else debates whose territory is whose. The screens showed the first evacuation ship detaching from the colony's docking bay, filled with refugees. As it pulled away, sensors captured a massive groundquake rippling across the moon's surface, collapsing several empty habitats. You were right about the timeline, Val acknowledged. Another day of debate and he didn't finish the thought. Humanity has a saying, Tom said. Sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. Val studied him curiously. Your species has only been spacefaring for 80 years. You're still learning the complexities of galactic politics. Maybe. Or maybe we see things more clearly because we haven't been stuck in the same patterns for millennia. The final evacuation ship departed Terrace just as the colony's main power core failed. The moon wouldn't be habitable again for decades, but every colonist had been evacuated safely. In the following days, the council continued to debate the territorial dispute, but with less urgency now that the immediate humanitarian crisis had been resolved. The human delegation was formally reprimanded for acting unilaterally, a reprimand they accepted with what some delegates considered inappropriate good humor. Tom found himself approached by representatives from smaller worlds, who had been quiet during the public sessions. My government couldn't officially support your action, the Proximan delegate told him quietly. But we are glad you acted. My cousin was on that moon. Similar sentiments came from others, always in private, never in the formal sessions. 1 month later, when the Vega Federation and Arcturus Collective finally reached an agreement on the disputed territory, the treaty included a new provision, a joint emergency response protocol that would supersede territorial claims in cases of imminent danger to civilian populations. When Tom pointed this out to Val, the Pleiadian merely said, "Perhaps there is something to be said for the occasional disruption of protocol." Tom smiled. "You know what they say about us humans, that you're dangerously unpredictable?" "No," Tom replied. "That we get angry about the right things." Val's facial patterns shifted in what Tom had learned to recognize as thoughtfulness. Perhaps the galaxy needs that once in a while. As Tom looked out at the stars, he couldn't help but feel a small sense of pride. Humans might be newcomers, emotional and unpredictable by galactic standards, but sometimes being the species willing to break the rules made all the difference. Sometimes, only the alleged angry humans would step in to help.